Doing?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for your.
Is there anyone in here yet? Oh,
Yes, we got
there's
some
a
few
there's
people.
a third person.
Oh, four.
I'll just wait a couple minutes and then I'll introduce the session.
What did you think of Chris Field's chat at the beginning?
Oh, I thought it was great. He covered so much. I was like writing notes down.
I know he's obviously a smart cookie.
Super
It was like
interesting.
all of our trends, like that the marketing team, the whole trends ebooks, like 50 pages. That's where he covered all of it.
Yeah, all of it in one go. It was great. We've
Yeah.
got 4 people. I think I'll wait a couple more minutes to get some more people joining because I think
Sure.
Steve's probably explaining. I really liked what did he say about something being a currency? Relevancy is the new currency, Andy just said, and
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's good. Relevancy, the new currency. It's true, isn't it? It's
It
just
is
what we were
true.
saying, like all about, however you're actually interacting with your customers. If it's all the same stuff, it's not interesting and it doesn't actually get you any engagement, which means no revenue. So yeah, he's not right.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
And what you were talking about as well about looking through your emails or what Ashley was saying about looking through the emails and you're just going through and you're thinking, do I want to receive this
Yeah.
content anymore? Like, is this the right thing for me to be doing? And if it's not relevant, it's going to be an unsubscribe, I'm
It is.
afraid.
I actually did a massive cull yesterday, and I think went through about 500 different emails because you just ignore them. You're like, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just
They
gonna
just
ignore it. It
add
doesn't
up and
matter.
add up, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, but then eventually you're like, actually, I have a choice here, so I'm gonna get rid of it all, block them all. But as I said, like you do actually still want to be hearing from some people. So yeah, I think it's good. I think for the most part, all of this privacy changes, like whilst they're not initially good for any business who's trying to acquire new customers cost effectively, it does mean that the ones who you do have opting in are real actual trusting dedicated customers, yeah, and they're going to be far more valuable. And if they're happy, then just through word of mouth or however you want to do it, they can they can basically push your brand forward for you. So it does work.
Oh, I think we've just had a message. Olivia from Superfeast, welcome. Thanks so much for writing in the chat. Great to have you here.
Hi Olivia, how you doing? Any questions for us?
We've got around 18 people in now. It's going up.
24.
24. I think I'm going to start intro the session. No questions yet, maybe in the future. Welcome to this breakout session. We've got Joe Rutherford here from LoyaltyLion. There's a couple more other breakout sessions. There's one with Nosto, one with Scubana from the last panel. So feel free to move around between here and there. This is a really good opportunity for you to ask any questions you have based on the panel or anything loyalty related. But I can see more and more people joining, which is great. These sort of things work better if people get involved. So feel free to switch on your camera as well if you want to have a little chat with us. But yeah, great to have you all here.
Excellent. Any questions for us? Don't be shy. We're only here for 25 minutes.
We don't bite. I'll kick off with one for you, Joe, actually, that Chris was speaking about in the initial chat, where he was saying that consumers are actually spoiled. I was just wondering what you thought about that.
Well, my understanding of that would be that because of how everything's changed in the last year or 2 years, like everyone has been pushed online, which meant that there's a lot more competition. Businesses have had to be a lot more thoughtful about how they interact with their customers. They've got used to a very good treatment, free deliveries, discounts hit left, right, and center in a lot of different treatment they didn't have before. So I suppose they have been spoiled, but we can't go back now. So
no, there's no going back.
There's no going back. They're not gonna want to go back to what happened before. And why would they? They have the tools. We have the tools to actually make this behavior the normal. So that's what we're doing. And they're spoiled, but they've only been spoiled because we were able to give it to them.
Yeah, I actually think that when I go to order something online, I'm like, there should just be free delivery. That's my right, but it's actually not the case. And I think that's something that's definitely changed in my mindset. Lauren Wester has just asked, what are some incentives you've seen that make a company stand out from the rest?
That's a great question. So I'll do this from a loyalty program perspective because obviously that's what we do. I love this brand called Edgard and Cooper, and they are basically a pet food brand. They're one of probably my favorite loyalty program. They do things very differently. It's a lot more customized and very personal, and they're really big on pushing their brand message. So they are all about giving back to the planet and animal charities and everything related to that really. So what they've done within the loyalty program, rather than just saying you can use your points for some money off your next order or a free product, which are great for a lot of customers, but not for everyone, they actually give customers the opportunity to donate a meal to a shelter dog or to plant a tree for the planet. And they're really, they're philanthropic. They're not good for the customer from a I get money off, but 6 or 7 out of 10 people of their customers use that reward. They don't give themselves things for free. So it's pretty interesting to see that just by doing something a bit different and following their own brand message, that's what's made them stand out.
Yeah, they're really tapping into that emotional side of the customer, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyone who's got a pet will love them and not want anything to happen to them. So the thought of them even being in a shelter, they've really
it's very smart,
they've
actually.
pulled on the emotional heartstrings there, but I think it definitely works. We've got another question from Ben who's asked, how can loyalty keep customers happy when supply chain issues cause delays? Which we know has been huge. Yeah, really good question. Thank you, Ben.
So actually, I'll bring in another tech stack item here, which is help desk. So you've got Gorgeous and Zendesk and things like that. We integrate with platforms like that, and what we can do is, you're bound to have some issues. Supply chain isn't getting any easier at the moment, is it? So it's going to happen. So you can't be just giving stuff for free, left, right, and center. It's going to be detrimental to your revenue. So what we've done with the likes of Gorgeous and Zendesk and Reamaze is we actually plug in to their dashboards. So you might have a customer experience or rep there on the phone to pretty angry customer who hasn't got their whatever it is, and they're complaining. But what we can do, we plug in the data, so in their dashboard they're not just there speaking to some stranger. They can see every interaction that customer's had with you from a loyalty perspective and beyond. So how many purchases they've made, are they loyal, at their risk of churning, have they churned and returned, are they a big spender? All of this information allows you to say, okay, we can't lose this customer, they're very valuable to us. So there and then you can say, I'm sorry, Joe Blogs, we're very, very sorry about this. Let us give you 1,000 points or something like that to appease you for now. And it works like a treat because the customer is happy, they've been given something in return, but you haven't really dug into your revenue. You haven't given them a free item or given them something for free. You've just given them something to keep them happy. And it works very, very well. So we're actually seeing a lot more focuses from customers pushing this help desk kind of side of things due to the current state of things.
I guess that allows the agents to reply with it with intent as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And giving them points also will help them come back and make a repeat purchase. So I remember you'd always have if you had a bad experience in a shop or with online, you'd always tell someone, but no one really talks about having good experiences. But with these sort of integrations, if you came with a bad experience but were awarded points and your problem was resolved, you're going to tell people about it, which is what we want.
Well, that's what it's all about. And this is all about, bringing all these apps together. I mentioned it twice in the panel because it's very important. All of these things help, should be contributing to the success of the other. Loyalty is basically the catalyst. You need loyalty, you need retention. We all know that. If you just focused on acquisition alone, your business wouldn't grow. But how we do that, we can't do it all ourselves. We have the integrations with the likes of Klaviyo, Attentive, Gorgeous, Zendesk, Okendo for reviews. All of these things will work together. So you just made a perfect point. The customer is really happy with how they've been treated through that help desk integration. They then go use their reviews platform to say what a great company this is. Then you've got that data on that customer. That customer might put attributes about an item that they've bought, and they say, okay, I'm a size 4, and all that kind of stuff. Then you have that kind of data to plug through the next email you send them. It all works as one macrocosm, and that's just one example of it, effectively.
So LoyaltyLion's in the center, and then we can power the rest of your marketing stack.
Correct, and it's all natively integrated, so nice and easy.
Seamless. That's
Yeah,
what we like
seamless
to
is the
hear.
word.
Has anyone else got any other questions they want to pop in the chat, or you can jump on video, don't be shy. There's an open free space.
Tyler, there's one there. Does LoyaltyLion have direct integrations to Simon Data and Odoo? That isn't something I would be able to answer. I think that's something, but feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and we can talk about that separately. I'm not too sure about that one to answer.
Okay, cool. If no one else has any questions for now, I'll just fire another one at you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that have been asked previously. So about ways in which you can make like sort of actionable tips for overcoming the challenges that have been implemented by like the privacy updates.
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading someone else's question.
We can do that question first.
Let's do that
Actually,
question first,
let's
and then
do
we'll come
that
back to yours.
first. How do you see that in-store customer outreach and online customer experience can integrate to maximize customer connection and improve loyalty? So that sort of omni-channel approach.
Yeah, that's a great question. Omnichannel is huge now. Obviously, like I think the big winners in the US were like Target and other kind of huge companies like that who really pivoted and adapted when COVID hit. So they have this kind of experience across online and offline. So yeah, it's incredibly powerful now, and a lot of people don't really want to change from shopping in store. Some people don't want to change from shopping off online and that kind of thing. So having them working as one is very, very powerful. What do you say in there? How do you can integrate? Yeah, so how they can integrate. I mean, we have a lot of examples of our clients using Shopify and Shopify POS in store. So our program, for example, integrates with both seamlessly. So a customer might come into the store, create an account there and then, earns points for that first purchase. If they log on online later, they have those points as well. So it is completely seamless like that. And what we're looking to do in the future is to try push that omnichannel approach more and more, because obviously we know that ecom isn't everything. So it's a very good point. Yeah.
We also have Ashford and Mew, the jewelry brand. They do like an in-store recycling scheme. So online, they have their online hub, their sort of loyalty place where their customers can go. They can do Q&As, meeting with the founders, things like that. They actually set this up during the pandemic when all of their physical stores closed. But now they've sort of tapped into the conscious consumer, and they've offered points if you recycle your old jewelry, so your old silver. And that obviously appeals to a more sort of like green approach. So I think them combining their loyalty program online and offline is making a real difference.
Yeah, got some questions there as well. Hi, Fraser. Is it important to launch everything at the same time or launch phases? I actually think phases. It's a great question. So a lot of our clients, when they first come to us, they think that they need to have everything in place, like a top of the range loyalty program with all the bells and whistles that does everything. It actually is not the way forward. It annoys customers. Like customers like simplicity. They like a smooth process. If they're suddenly presented with some crazy loyalty program that does 100 things that they actually don't care about, they just want to earn their points for activities that they want to do and spend their points on what they want to spend them on. That's how it should start. That's you, as you say, educating those customers to what a loyalty program is all about. Once they start interacting with it, then you can start phasing in some really interesting things. I mentioned Edgar and Cooper a moment ago. They do custom rewards, as I said. They also do a custom rules, like create your pet profile. These are all custom things which you can bring in later, and because it's a white label program, you're at liberty to do that. But do that in your own time. The customers just want, people are fickle. They want their free points and they want them now. But that's it.
They don't want to be overwhelmed, do they?
No, exactly. But then as time goes on, they will really start coming more and more engaged with the program, and how you engage with them off the back of the program. So it's good to start releasing new features later on, effectively.
Yeah, I think the first point there is getting customers excited about the loyalty program, and then also communicating the values very clearly. So clearly explaining to them what they need to do to get enrolled and what they need to do to earn points, but making sure that it's very, very clear and there's no confusion.
Exactly that. Yeah.
We have Holly. If you reward customers for subscribing, how would you suggest stopping customers from churning?
That's a big problem for a lot of businesses, I know. So we integrate with Recharge very, very nicely. And this is often a problem for people who have subscriptions up. So what I can offer is allow customers to have X amount off their next subscription or their third subscription, or like a free gift on their third subscription. Like whenever you can be quite inventive with it. So let's say that you could see from your data that there's a specific point when customers start falling off or churning. You think, okay, that's the point we've got to get past, and then hopefully they get past that point, they're going to stay for another few months. So it's finding that kind of pain point, that bit where they do fall off the edge, and saying, okay, what can we do about that? So if that's at the 3-month mark, you reward them for a fourth purchase, let's say for the fourth subscription. So they stay past that third mark, they come for the fourth, and then maybe by the fourth, they've got enough points to have a whole separate reward. So they've got a double incentive to stay with you. So I think there's if you get to the third to fourth purchase point, if you get them past there, normally they're a customer for life. So it's finding that pain point and just remedying it, and then from then on it should be plain sailing.
There's a real interesting stat that if a customer comes back for a second purchase, they're already 43% more likely to come back for a third. And that keeps increasing every time we purchase. And then with recharge, the fact that we incentivize them to become subscribers and stay subscribed over that longer time frame, that really helps increase customer lifetime value.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, thank you for that question, by the way, Holly, that was great.
Thanks, Holly.
Tyler Hill has asked, how do you all feel about redeeming points for product?
It's actually a very, very, very good way of rewarding your customers. So check out a company called Waterdrop. They are one of our most successful clients, and they only give products for points. So they actually have within the account section, customers logged in, they've earned points, and then they can use those points for a number of different rewards. They've got a whole page of them, and they choose which rewards they want to actually allow you to redeem. So they change quite often depending on inventory levels and what they're trying to push, that kind of thing. But it's really good. I think 17% of all of our points redeemed are for products. So it's becoming more and more popular as a reward, but people like free stuff, let's be honest. So it's not always about giving the points and having some money off the next purchase. It's actually a little bit more interesting than that, and a customer has the choice as well. So, and maybe you take it one step further, maybe you have a VIP system in place, and only in the top tier can you actually redeem your points for a very specific product, like a very kind of elite product, as it were. And then that kind of goes on to what Chris was saying earlier about, it's not always just about points, it's about experiential rewards. That's kind of an experiential reward, making the customer feel very elite, basically.
I think that also really promotes that exclusivity factor as well. So only letting your top tier customers have access to certain perks and benefits, that can really help. And then again, with the redeeming points for products, it's just a really nice seamless way to do reward redemption. And what Waterdrop also do really well is they change up these rewards on I'd say on a weekly basis sometimes. Every time I go back to their site, they've got new products that they're offering for rewards. So it's a real nice way to get a snapshot into their brand, showing customers what they have in stock without them having to even browse through the store at all. So I think it's really nice.
Are there best practices for calculating points? Yes, there are. So I won't go into too much detail now, because actually we have a whole account management and customer success team that does all this stuff for you, really. So obviously, if you've never had a rewards program before, you're not going to know how on earth to do any of that stuff. Fortunately, we do. Right, they are experts in that space. It's what they do every day. So that's something that they'll be able to help you with, kind of doing the onboarding process effectively.
The difficult thing there is that it just changes on a bespoke basis. So
yeah,
it's hard to give one full answer, but the onboarding team is very talented and they'll be able to help you out for sure.
Exactly.
Any more questions? I think that's all of the ones we've gone through in the chat, but does anyone have anything else that they wanted to ask us? Oh, you're welcome, Tyler. Thanks for coming.
Anna, have you got any more questions for me?
Yes. So, do you have any examples of how you could use zero-party data to build customers' loyalty and retention rates? So, maybe examples from merchants that have been really good at personalization.
Yeah. I'm going to use them again because I love them. Edgar and Cooper, like we've talked about what they're doing, creating a pet profile. So they, the customer will come in and they can, earn points for inputting data, like what kind of dog or animal is it, what breed, what kind of food does it eat, how old is it, all this kind of data. And I think they basically have like a very bespoke tier system. They've got like 10 levels, and each level you unlock a new challenge. I think they might have further down the line even more ways of gaining more data, but you don't want to overdo it because it annoys the customer.
I haven't got there yet.
Yeah,
I need to
not me,
move through their program. Yeah.
I need to buy a dog actually, then I can do it.
Yeah.
But they get all of this data, and then on the back end they've already got data from purchases and transactions. Then they've got loyalty data, everything we provide, which is a hell of a lot of data. And then on top of that, you've got the zero party data. So from that, you've got this trifecta of amazing data, which is like a full profile of that customer. And then the content you send to those members is completely bespoke, because you're not going to send something to a cat owner which is kind of related to a dog. So even just that tiny bit of data, cat or dog, is going to change how you interact with them, and everything else on top gives you a huge step up against the competition.
And using that personalized data within like the email campaigns, like it can be make or break, right? So if you had a dog and you got an email about a cat, that would be a huge faux pas. You wouldn't want that at all. That would be an email that you'd probably be unsubscribing from. But because they've completed this pet profile, they can collect this data on you and then really personalize and sort of segment you as a customer. They can really target you with more sort of selective messaging that would really appeal to you. So I think that's a really nice example. Also, everyone should check out the Edgar and Cooper site because they've really gamified the sort of loyalty experience. You don't collect points, you actually collect belly rubs, which I think is really fun. So yeah, definitely one to check out.
It's kind of moving on to what, sorry to interrupt, just what Chris was saying about like, a lot of people when they started thinking about loyalty programs are like, we don't want points, and then points and rewards, really simple, but then everyone kind of just did that. Like these guys are a great example of someone who didn't. They actually did what they said and went very kind of off-piste and custom. So like they, by doing that, the whole gamification piece, like if you're going for a younger audience like Gen Z, they're all gamers, they're all a lot of them are gamers anyway. So like that whole gamification, if you want to go after a younger audience, what works for the old one won't work for them. So if you can have that kind of sense of gamification, challenges and unlocking challenges and things like that, it does make it more appealing to a different audience as well, which I know is a big issue for a lot of people out there. I've got also a couple of questions.
Yeah, customers want to work towards something. They're more motivated when they have something to work towards. So that makes sense too.
Yeah.
James Roberts, an entirely new marketing team in place since we started with LoyaltyLion. Can we do another onboard session?
Yeah, absolutely. Just reach out to us, marketing at LoyaltyLion.com, or just drop me a message on LinkedIn and I'll get you in touch with the right people. No problem.
And then Anna has asked, what are your thoughts on rewards expiring?
It's an interesting one. It's a contentious issue because it's quite good at the last minute to get people to spend their points. But if you've been doing it the right way, they're not going to be waiting to the last minute anyway. So like, you need to own the process of having a loyalty program. It's not just a tool you turn on and it brings in hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can do that, but you need to treat it like another tool. So if you are owning it, you have like a loyalty champion who is regularly checking in, who is utilizing the data that you are constantly amassing and plugging it back into the activity with your customers. They're never gonna kind of just wait to spend their points, because you're reminding them, come spend your points. We automate a lot of that anyway. So it's about having everything set up the right way, like a reward available reminder whenever someone's got enough points to spend, what they can actually use those points on. So not just you've got enough points for a reward, but you've got enough points for a free item, for example, and all of that stuff. Like if it's done well and you use the account manager or onboarding manager to set it up based on their expertise, you're not going to get to a point where you need to have a reward expiry effectively.
I think on that as well, it's like communicating that the reward is available and making sure the rewards are achievable as well. Because if you have a lot of points earned, but not a lot of points spent, that could be a problem with like how you're communicating the program, and customers might be finding it difficult to like sort of spend their rewards. So that's definitely something our team can help sort of manage for you. Cool. And Hillary has asked, Do you have examples of great loyalty programs that don't leverage a point system?
It's a very, very good question. So a lot of people are quite anti the point system. They think it can sometimes, devalue the brand. It's actually not the case, but it needs to be conveyed to a customer in a certain way. So we know more and more that luxury brands are really pushing the loyalty programs. Matches.com, huge example. They have something called curator program. It's points based, but those points don't then equate to certain rewards. It's all experiential. So you get like free gifts on your birthday, you get double points days, you get access to your product launches, early access to sales, exclusive invites to events. All of these things are, you need to earn the points to get to that certain tier, but then the points aren't transacted for a reward. That doesn't work for luxuries often. So the points, keep it, because you need to track the activity. You might want to hide it, but it leaves the customer very little to engage with. They just suddenly one day go to the next tier. They're like, oh, all right. But if they have something to work towards, that idea of gamification again, it's necessary to a point. How those points are spent or used is completely up to you.
They can also, we have a couple of clients that, remove points entirely and just done it on like amount spent. So if you're in this tier, you have to spend up to this amount, second tier, this amount. And I think that takes the points out of it, but it still gives the offer of like having an experiential reward rather than like a money off voucher, because they're not motivated by that.
Exactly. And actually the points on the back end, it's how you track everything. So it's a necessity. Otherwise we'd be in a bit of a pickle.
For sure. We've only got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any last minute questions they want to ask? Any takers? Oh, Q&A. Oh, I've just seen some in the Q&A. So I'll just pick one from here. I work with a couple of brands who want to offer loyalty but feel like it's against their brand with the gamification. They're high-end and luxury. Oh, we've just answered that one in terms of the tiers.
Yes.
If we're in an iOS 15 world, how do we continue to deliver a relevant and personalized experience to customers when we've lost view on their behaviors? We want to practice segmentation, but lists have shrunk.
Yeah. So, that comes back to what we mentioned before. Everything around zero-party data, and actually, just the longer that customer is opted in, the more data you gain on them. So, it's about using what you have to hand to keep them engaged. A loyalty program is a very good way of doing that. You gain all that data just from keeping them as part of that loyalty program. You can see their journey with you as a customer, and then the more time you have them, you fill in those gaps. So you don't need the cookies because you've got their first-party data. Then zero-party data on top, just by doing profiles, surveys, quizzes, polls, even reviews. Reviews is a great one if you integrate with a Kendo, for example. These are all easy ways of doing it, and people are willing to give it to you if it's going to make their shopping experience better. So very simple changes, huge effect.
I think it's like, and to add on to that, it's incentivizing for more than just purchasing. So incentivizing people to write a review, to put in their birthday so you know when that is, to sign up to your newsletter. You're incentivizing them with points so they actually don't feel like they're giving their data away for free. They're actually getting something out of it and they're going to benefit from it in the long term as well. I think that's about our 30 minutes up. So thank you so much for everyone who came to this session. I hope you found it really valuable. I've certainly had a great time. If you'd like to head back to the main stage now, Alison from our marketing team is going to be running a Kahoot quiz, and I think there's a chance to win a prize there too. So if you'd like to head back there now, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, and I'll just put my email in there as well. If any of you want to get in touch and have a chat, just let me know or reach out on LinkedIn, and we can see what we can do for you.
I'll drop my email there too, just in case anyone's still here.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Bye, everyone.